morning everyone. Today I'm on the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand and I'm heading down to a lake called Lake Ianthe in South Westland here. My cousin Garry Pullan's coming with me for the day. Morning Gary. It's my mother's father who we're talking about here, his name being Jack Bergman, and it's Gary's great-great-grandfather. My mum's family was the Bergmans, and their little farm was at a place called Kakapotai, just south of Ross. So that's where we like to take you today and show you all about that area. From the stories that we've both heard about their upbringing and the geographical and infrastructure down around that area. So we're heading south. This is the main south road now, but down to Ross. But years ago, the railway had a line right through to Ross, and I think the remnants of the bridge is still there over the Totara River, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah, the bridge is still there.
We'll go and have a look at that.
It's now across the walkway.
But it was mainly stock and timber that came out of South Westland, wasn't it, on the railway?
Yeah, that's all came out of there.
Do you remember the rail car going right down to Ross?
Yeah, it used to go right down to Ross.
Did it? Did you ever go on that?
Yes, we went on it quite a few times.
Did you?
Yeah.
Used to get down to stay at Myrtles and things. This is the most important thing. This is the key to the jet ski, which we're taking with us today. And we're going to use that to go around Lake Ianthe, Gary. Do you remember, have you ever been to Granddad's Gold Claim on Lake Ianthe?
No, only on the water.
Yeah. We're coming into the little town of Ross. It used to have a lot of hotels and everything, but I think we're down to one here now, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah, I think there's only one left.
And just round the corner here, there's a store. I need to call in there and get some supplies for our adventure today. I didn't pack a lunch. So this was the big bridge across the Totara River here. The last bridge on the railway line all the way down to South Westland here. Bit of white baiting going on there. But this is all Aussie hardwood really, Gary, isn't it? Yeah. And what they've done is put this cycleway across the centre here as part of the West Coast Heritage Trail. But no doubt there's little whitebait getting up there today. You can't see them from here, but they're there, eh? And the township of Ross is around in this valley over here. And the railway line swooped around into the town. But there was another tram line, they called it, that went further south down to Kakapotai there. And we'll show you the remnants of that as we get down further. She's getting a little bit rusty, isn't it? But there's no weight on it now. And where she's really thin, they've put extra supports in there just to try and hold it together. Can you see she's rusted out in that truss there all together? And that's the salt air getting to it over time. Horrendous big bolts and things. So they put some reinforcing plates on there to give her a bit more life. But look at this steel rods here going up here. They're pretty manky now, aren't they? So this is an example of how they may have fetched the logs out of the forest in years gone by. They're called bogies that go in under the logs there. Just here where we're standing was the big mill site here. An example of it is there. And these are the bush lokies here. So we're at Ross and we're going to follow this tram line all the way down here past Bold Head and across the Whitetail River into the forest there around Pukekura. And this is our lake that we're heading to, Lake Ianthe. People have been hunting for hoo-hoo grubs on here, see if they can find any. But the big hoo-hoo grubs work their way through the timber and leave the deposits behind, as it's been through the grub. And there'll be thousands in this tree. But that's nature working its way to recycling, isn't it? This is an old boiler too. The other end here will be the firebox. No, it's not. Heat exchanger. So we've turned off the main highway and we come out towards the beach. And now this is a straight line down towards Bold Head, that hill in the distance there. This road here was formed on the old Stewart and Chapman tram line to extricate all the timber from the forests down here around Lake Ianthe. I often wondered how this Bold Head was formed, and a big ice sheet came down from way up in the mountains, you can see up in there, and it came on out, right out to the coast here, and that's a terminal moraine there where the glacier stopped and then retreated back again. And all along here out to sea there's stones and goolies that come out with the ice. And over to our right here is what we call the Mikanui mussel bed. Lovely big fresh mussels you can get there on low tide. The tram line over through this swampy land here, they put trees down and underneath, they call that corduroying, and then put gravel on top of that, then ballast, then the railway line and the sleepers. And it stays intact, and the ground sort of moves under the train because they don't go real fast. And that example of that bogey with the tree on, there's not a heck of a lot of weight down. Mum's younger brother there was Bill Bergman, Garry, you'd remember him. He used to tell us stories about the cattle drives that come from right away down to Haast. They bring them up to the Ross sale yards here, and they would stay at Grandma's house down here with all the cows resting in the paddocks and things, ready for their final push through to Ross to the sale yards. But one of the stories that came to pass with Bill was they were coming through this area here and the steam locomotive was going the other way. They met in the middle, and the train driver thought that he had the right of way, so he sounded the horn and made the steam train whistle and the steam bellowing and that. Well, the cows had never seen anything like this thing, and they all cleared off into the scrub either side here. So they'd walked all the way from Haast up to here, only to be terrified by this monster belching steam and letting out a shrill whistle. Well, Bill said the musterer was so incensed by this, he came along to the train driver. The musterer was so incensed that he was lashing at the driver of the train through the opening in the side of the train, trying to punish him for frightening his cows and sending him into the scrub. And Bill said there was a complaint put into the Railways Department about the musterer striking the train driver with a whip, and it went all the way to Wellington for dispute, but it was dismissed in the end for out of sheer stupidity of the driver letting the whistle go. So it'd probably be a day's work to get the cows back out of the bush again, wouldn't it? They all just disappeared and they come out terrified, wouldn't they? Yeah. So this little area here is called Kakapotai. Once there was a school and everything that my mother and my aunties and uncles all came to here, but it's all changed now. Any school buildings or any school sites long gone. But we'll go down further to where the Bergman farm was. They had a dairy there and milk cows and a lodging house and things. So this is the site of where the Bergmans used to live here. Mum was raised here as a little girl. So this is all that remains of the Bergman Homestead here. That's the kitchen chimney that's fallen over. and this is the front of the house there, where the to heat the lounges and things like that. But out the back there was a big hay barn, and built on the edge of a creek here for water supply and take the sewage away, no doubt. And the river's over the back by those line of trees there, and the mouth of the river is down the back here. So this is what I remember coming here as a 5, 6, 7-year-old boy to this site with Mum. The people weren't here anymore. They'd moved the house from here up to a place called Arthurstown near Hokitika. But apparently the original house is further south there, Gary, isn't it?
I heard it was down by the end of the tree line.
Yes.
You have to walk along the beach for a little bit to get to it.
Yeah.
So they must have been right on the beach.
I think so. And Bill had a section there when he was... See the houses just over the jet ski there? That's where they, in that V there, that's where they put the bridge across to get access further into this forest down the back here. So Granny would have cooked a few meals on this fireplace. This little structure here would have been a safe. You see the hanging rail there for the meat, shelves around, so ventilation there to keep the flies out. Huh. I remember coming here as a boy with Mum. I don't think the Bergmans were here anymore, but they put me up on a big stand where the cream cans went for collection, and all these big fellas turned up for a bit of straw or hay. It was terrifying. Down and under there's the piles for the north end of the embankment, and these are the remnants of the piles down here from the bridge that came across this one here. This river is called the Kakapotai River, and it joins the Whitetail River just down there beyond where that car's going whitebaiting. There's the grass there on the southern embankment up to the bridge onto the other side. So we're back onto the main highway again, having come through the old tram line, and we're about to cross the Whitetail River. And over Gary's shoulder, as I get down here, I may see the old piles from the previous crossing where they had a bridge over. But that's the narrowest point there, and you'd never know. Sometimes after floods the piles get exposed and things, but they would have come through onto that bank there, not into that hill. But anyway, I didn't see anything there, did you, Gary? So now we're into the Whitetail Scenic Reserve and heading on down to Lake Ianthe. Let's go and do that. These are old growth Rimu trees down through here. We call it the Scenic Reserve now, but they weren't taken out years ago and taken to the mill and mowed. But away from the highway, that's where it's been stripped, sometimes strip felling, and moved it all off to the mill. This dip in the road represents Duffers Creek. This was a gold mining area, and I think our Auntie Myrtle and Uncle Elf had a house here and were gold mining here at the same time. So I guess it's called Duffers Creek. But further up here is the source of the water supply for the gold claim that we're going to go to. A little bit hard to show you, but this was the canal or water race that they built. This was the water race that they built to feed the gold claim around further. It's formed U-channel, stones are falling in now, but this picked up water from up at Duffers Creek, about a kilometre that way. Imagine digging through this bush. A culvert under the main road, but in those days it would have been a bridge here, and that's the flow of water that they would have had into a dam to build up so that they had water pressure to sluice a big face. So I think we've got everything, Gary, haven't we?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Good, the boat's chirping away there in anticipation of a gallop. Lovely. come into where the hut was, or we think the hut was here, at the bottom end of the claim where he would have left his shovels and picks and all that sort of thing overnight, don't he? See if we can find anything here that looks like it, Gary.
Over here looks like something's...
He's left something behind?
Yeah. There's been old firebox or something. Oh, they left 2 hot toys in here.
Wow.
Oh, what's this?
Couple of bloody pies, are they still warm?
Yeah, they are still a bit warm.
Have a look under that tin there then. See, there's a bit of the old chimney or something.
Loose box or something, yeah. Oh, and they left us a drink.
Has he?
Yeah.
What did you get? Tell him more.
Only one can, sorry.
Oh, only one can. Have a look under that one, see if there's any up there.
Oh, he's left you one too.
Isn't that good? That's 100-year-old can and 100-year-old pies, but if they're still warm, he was thinking of us, wasn't he?
He must have been.
Yeah. Let's have a
What do you
scop.
think?
You wouldn't have thought, Grandad, is it still warm?
Yeah, it's still warm.
Is it? 100 years ago. Yum. Wonder what they would have had for food and stuff when they come down here. Granny would have made up sandwiches and things, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, it would have been just sandwiches and cheese.
Yeah.
Things from the farm.
Yeah. And they would have boiled the billy here every day, cup of tea and things, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you would have had tea, yeah.
Mm. And it's hard physical work, bloody washing and picking over the rakes and things, isn't it?
It'd be a long day for them.
Yeah. And the weather's against them here as well, isn't it?
Yeah, even though it's quite sheltered. So.
Yeah. So what sort of drinks would they have had if they weren't drinking tea?
Oh, actually, well, probably would have been just water.
Mm.
Or black tea.
Mm.
Just
Sugar with it for energy?
be sugar, probably might be milk. Or...
Yeah, from the farm, yeah, all that sort of thing. So it's very unlikely that it would have been Tullamore Dew. He wouldn't have even known the taste of it, would he?
No, he wouldn't. That wouldn't even thought of.
No. All right, Gary. Well, I'm going to enjoy my pie too. Cheers, Grandad. Mmm. Did you get chicken and curry, and I got steak and steak and mushroom? I think I got the best one. Over the pie, we were just thinking about this tin here, and Grandad would have knocked the side out of that tin there to set a fire in there, and put a couple of pieces of pipe across the top there to set the billy on top of that. I've never seen a tin, but it's got tar and stuff in it, hasn't it? See, like it's come off the road gang or something. See the bitumen and stuff there from making the roads, Gary?
Right.
See the tar on it from making the roads and things, and that's what's kept it from falling apart, I think.
Well, he wouldn't too.
This one bears analysis too. See the holes around there uniformly all the way around. That's where it's riveted together. And the shape of it may have been a sluice box or something like that. Gold, they found a bit of gold here. It was quite a good claim because they went to quite a bit of effort to get it, and it lasted many years, didn't it? But my mother was the youngest of 4 sisters, and each of those sisters got we called them an Aspro jar full of gold as a wedding present. And I remember that being in the top cupboard, you know, and told to leave it alone, don't touch that, leave it alone all the time. But I remember my older sister Adrian, she and I got it down from the top cupboard and took it out to the sand pit, and we were trucking gold all around the sand pit in our toy trucks and things. When Mum found out, she was quite surprised and annoyed. But anyway, Adrian got the blame for that one. I didn't do it. I don't think the gold was ever recovered from the sand pit either, so there's a couple of ounces of gold sitting up there in Reefton. Here's a big Rimu tree that's fallen into the lake, Gary. He's quite a sizable trunk, about 1 metre in diameter, isn't he? Or a bit more probably. But he's lived there for probably 300 odd years, so he would have been there when Grandad was there. And eventually the boat banky roads and the wind in the wrong direction, and out he's fallen into a couple that have fallen out. And on the side of the big Rimu trees, these attachments here, like sucker plants, they're called gigi or gigi ferns. And look, they're growing out into the lake because they can get daylight. But you can see that's what they would have been looking like away up there. and whoompa, down they come in a storm or erosion or something there, and they're into the lake. Now the timber in some of these Rimus would be still good, but it's all scenic reserve, and they don't want salvage teams in here getting this out. So you see that big fern, and then the giggy ferns are growing up as like a parasite on the side of them. Well, as that tree fell into the lake, they kept growing. You wouldn't believe it, would you? You can see this here is gravel that's been brought down by the glaciers in years gone by, and these are terminal moraines. You see the hill in the background here? The ice sheet came from the big hills way up the top and down that valley, and when it gets to the end it stops for a while and drops all its debris and things there, and then the lake forms in behind it as it retreats back on up the hill. So here's another big Rimu that's gone toppling into the lake here. They last a long time in the water. There's some what we used to call that morkbork bread, wouldn't it? Hello, we're running around on the big log here. Hit reverse and get out of here. Now it's fish habitat, Gary, isn't it? Huh? Oh, well, we'll head along this shoreline here. I see the clematis flowers out now too, isn't it? That white flower, it stands out very much in amongst all the natives. The beauty of the jet boat is you've got no propeller to break off. It just weeds and gravel is what gets into the impellers there and stops you. But just going slow over these slippery old logs, it didn't seem to bother them. Well, they were my famous last words. Oh well, that finishes our adventure down here to see where Grandad used to work. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.